Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Atlanta. There are two fun facts when you begin. The first fun fact is, does the notebook fit with the microphones in the podium? So that one's not that interesting. The second fun fact I learned this morning is that Herb Vincent, our Associate Commissioner for Communications, is also the Beyonce concert coordinator for our staff. So of any social media moment this week, that may rank towards the top. That said, good morning and welcome to the 2025 edition of SEC Football Media Days. It's a privilege, certainly for me, to be with you once again. We appreciate your work and all the work that's done to make this event possible. It also signals the start of a new season. I look forward to the traditions, the games, the spirit, the intensity, the competition that makes college football in the SEC so special. We're pleased to be back in Atlanta. A little bit of a history lesson. The first meeting of the SEC membership took place in Atlanta, February 27th, 1933. Apparently it was the beginning of a tradition of hosting conference meetings around men's basketball tournaments, because our men's basketball tournament was first played here also in 1933. Atlanta, as you know, has served as host to the SEC football championship game since 1994, and just up the road in Duluth, we've had a number of women's basketball tournaments played and SEC gymnastics champions determined. I'm also proud that we'll be back in Georgia later this year. After a 20-year hiatus, the SEC volleyball tournament returns. We will be in Savannah, Georgia, November 21st through the 25th at End Market Arena, again in Savannah, and we're looking forward to that event. But since we're here to talk about football, let me first express some appreciation for what's done around the game of college football in the city of Atlanta. First, we're pleased to be back here with a football field in front of us at the College Football Hall of Fame, and it's always fun to see goalposts when you're talking. The 2025 season will kick off a few blocks from here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium when on Saturday, August 30th, Tennessee plays Syracuse, and the next day, Sunday, August 31st, South Carolina plays Virginia Tech. Plenty going on that weekend, but noteworthy that we'll be back here to kick off the season with those football games. Our championship game is a December tradition here in Atlanta. We appreciate Arthur Blank, the Atlanta Falcons organization, and everyone around Mercedes-Benz Stadium that provides an incredible experience for our participants and for our fans. I want to thank the Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau. You don't understand how many mechanics there are to pull off something like this. Law enforcement, the city of Atlanta, everyone that makes things work smoothly. We're also pleased and really proud of our affiliation with Regions Bank. Regions serves as the title sponsor for the SEC kickoff, and you can see Regions embedded around us, and I'll have another note about how they contribute to support our student athletes through the year in different ways. Before I move on, I'll just make a note that we are adding to our sponsor program, Wayne Sanderson Farms. We have several members of the Wayne Sanderson Farms leadership team here with us this morning, and I thank them for their support. Wayne Sanderson Farms has over 26,000 employees and over 2,000 family farms spread across the southeastern footprint. While I was preparing my remarks for Media Days, I recall that last time we were here in Atlanta, one of my backstage conversations, and I've noted this, included the discussion of why powdered wigs went away and neckties remained, and that was with Mike Leach. I just want to make a note that we appreciate an adjustment made by the National Football Foundation to change the qualifying criteria for head coaches that makes Mike and others eligible for election into this College Football Hall of Fame. We also, since we last gathered, lost Bob Holt, and we've saved a spot right around where Bob usually sits to honor Bob. Bob, as you know, worked with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. He was pretty quick with a question here and always asked a question with a smile. That did not mean that you might like the question he was asking with a smile, but he had a special way about him, and we miss Bob and respect and honor his memory. Last month, we had a loss in the Southeastern Conference family. Bobby Gaston, who served in a variety of capacities, passed away at the remarkable age of 101, and Bobby was still a regular attender of the SEC football championship game. Atlanta was home for Bobby, as was the SEC during his playing career at Georgia Tech when he was a teammate of Frank Broyles. He spent 50 years working in the SEC's officiating program, and we didn't have social media then, but I'm sure we didn't get them all right during that time frame. Last 16 years he worked, or excuse me, the last 18 years of those 50, he served as the program's leader. And we remain grateful for Bobby and his work and contributions, and extend our best wishes to his wife, Gail. We also, at a time when we can't ignore, in fact, we intentionally remember what happened over the last week and a half or so in the Texas Hill Country in the Central Texas area. And yesterday, traveling down here, listening to news reports that the rains were coming again and emergency warnings were being issued. Watching from afar, it's been an unimaginable loss of life to see. I cannot imagine the grief that families and friends and neighbors and relatives are experiencing, not only across our universities in the state of Texas, but across this region, as you start to understand through these stories the depth of relationships that exist. We offer our thanks to first responders, to emergency workers, and even to those who try to help, whether it's through a search, through debris moving, or simply by giving someone a hug. We also know that closer to this location last fall, and I saw it as I drove last spring from Knoxville to Greenville to be a part of our SEC women's basketball tournament, the devastation left by Hurricane Helene and the impact on real lives. In fact, we were in Asheville, North Carolina for the Collegiate Commissioners Association meeting, where that organization made a donation to a food bank. And the leader of that food bank spoke in that Asheville area of the remaining and lingering challenges faced for food security in that region. Be it individuals we know personally or tragedies we observe from afar, we share in the grief and in those losses. We also, though, look ahead to anticipation. There is joy embedded in what we do, and we take pride in what was accomplished last year. Our first as a 16-member, what I think is a super conference. For all of those of you who like to speculate about super conferences, welcome to one. We have common sense geography, restored rivalries, record-breaking viewership. In fact, I asked for some data this weekend. If you take the consumed viewership hours on linear TV, almost 40% of that viewership was focused on games involving Southeastern Conference universities and teams. Big Ten was next, right around 30%. And that means with those two conferences, just over 2/3 of the total viewership of college football is embedded between the SEC and the Big Ten. The successes we've enjoyed produced 9 national championships out of our 22 sports, 5 winners of the Honda Sports Award. We had the nation's highest attendance figures in 7 sports. For the 26th consecutive season, we led the nation in football attendance. Soccer for the 2nd consecutive season, showing the emergence of that sport in our conference. Women's basketball for the 6th consecutive season. Men's basketball led the nation in total average attendance. We included the top 3 attended programs in the nation in Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee. We continued to lead women's gymnastics attendance. Baseball outpaced football. For the 28th consecutive year, we led the nation in college baseball attendance. And one of the more remarkable stats provided to me was we had a combined total home attendance over 840,000 in softball. When you combine the total attendance of the 3 other autonomy conferences, the SEC total exceeded those other 3 conferences combined total by over 100,000 fans. It's a special place, a remarkable set of people, remarkable competition. and remarkable achievements. We're also proud last year that it was our first to operate fully under the Disney umbrella for broadcast of our competitions. That includes ABC, the ESPN platforms, ESPN Plus, and the SEC Network. We're so proud of that partnership because in our first year, we together earned, through the SEC on ABC, the 2025 Sports Emmy for Outstanding Live Series, the first time in 45 years that award had been presented to a college sports property. You heard from Kevin, one of our new endeavors is a box-to-box and Netflix documentary series spotlighting the 2024 football season. You'll have an opportunity, as was mentioned later this evening, to see one of those episodes. That series goes behind the scenes to really capture what we think is unprecedented footage and personal stories of our coaches, our student athletes, and our teams throughout last season. This afternoon, you'll also hear directly from Paul Martin, the series producer, who will provide you with a bit more insight into that project. And last on my set of notes this evening on the SEC Network at 7 p.m., we'll have the second edition of what we call SEC Startup. That's a pitch competition for business ideas and innovative business ideas presented by student athletes. 5 finalists will populate this year's program, which again is presented by Regions Bank and is on the SEC Network at 7 p.m. this evening. Now, of any room that I occupy, I don't have to educate you that there is a lot going on in and around college sports. In fact, I usually begin writing out at least an outline of my remarks in early June. And had I attempted in early June to write out this full set of remarks, it literally would have changed on a daily basis. Because it seems as if one wakes up and there's yet a new story, a new opinion, a new piece of commentary, or a new direction that's been suggested. But let's take an inventory of all that's happening around college sports and college football right now. We have congressional activity. We wonder what might be the next state law to be introduced, or the next lawsuit. We're interested in litigation that has resulted in individuals being eligible to participate in college sports well into their mid-20s. That starts to remove opportunities for aspiring high school athletes. There are opinions around collective bargaining, opinions around the size of the NCAA basketball tournament. There are outcomes from what is called the NCAA Division I decision-making working group. There are proposed changes to the NCAA policy that for years has prohibited gambling on college athletes and college coaches from gambling on professional sports. There are considerations and commentary related to the future of the NCAA. I've already mentioned the college football playoff as it relates to our work. Should it be at 12 or 14 or 16? Or if you wait long enough, somebody will introduce another number for consideration. The issues around the college football playoff selection committee protocol and process were noted by me at press conferences in Destin. What's the future of the SEC football schedule? Is it going to be 8 or 9 games? What do we do about our future bowl relationships? How do we implement terms of the House settlement, and what's the impact of that settlement upon non-revenue sports, on participation opportunities across all of Division I, and the sponsorship decisions around sports offered on each campus?